You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Found out I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Monday. Who else feels it's dreadful as hell on Monday morning? Who else is like, oh my God, it's Monday. We are here again. Hopefully you guys are not saying that this morning. Hopefully you guys woke up a little bit cheery, ready to go. It's Monday. Let's go, team. This is Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. I am your host, Ariana, aka Divine Moon Goddess, as we phase out Divine Moon Goddess. Yes, 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 yes. I know. Phasing out the Divine Moon Goddess. I will always be Divine Moon Goddess to some people, but phasing it out. So, this morning show is brought to you by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com, where all your questions get answered. And remember, for the month of February, you can use code about to give you last month's code. You can use code knowledge444 and get 25% off of any of the services. Now, the classes are no longer under services because I have no live classes going on for at least the first half of 2022, you guys. But I do have pre-recorded versions available under the shop. You can go under the shop and check them out if you want to learn some new shit from me. Okay, just saying. Good morning, Sasha. Good morning, Luis. Good morning, Alyssa. Good morning, Shondell. Good morning, Nene. Good morning. Let's wake up, right? You know what? I have fallen off of my workout plan and I've gotten so busy with a lot of things that I just have to take care of, right? And so I put that on the back burner. And I was wondering why some things were kind of hitting me a certain way and I was feeling a certain way, especially because, body morphing is a thing with weight loss, you guys. Body morphing is a thing. And when you're losing weight, your body just doesn't contour back to where it's supposed to, right? So I was wondering, why is this coming up for me? Why is this the issue? Where is this coming from? And so then I started looking at my schedule and I'm like, shit, not really making time for exercise anymore. Kind of like putting that on the back burner because I want to do other things and get other shit done. So then I had to say, okay, shit, how can I fix this, right? Like, I know I don't want to stay in this place. I know I don't want to keep looking at, certain parts of me like this. So how do I correct this? So title of the show today is Just Show Up. Okay. Sometimes we try to go ham on some shit, right? And we just try to go. And I'm not saying for no one to just go. What happens, the problem is that we haven't even mastered the part of showing up. We haven't mastered that part. We haven't mastered to just show the fuck up for ourselves, right? Hey, Andre. So if we haven't mastered showing up for ourselves, how are we going to master this huge plan of change in our life? It's not going to work because we don't show up. And I have to admit, like, I get very busy in what I do. I love it. I love what I do. I get lost in what I do. And so that's not okay. There's no balance, right? We start to miss the balance of what we do. And so I've had to take that step back. That's why I took Saturday off. And I was like, let me take a day off. And, when I took a day off, I get messages about scammers and shit. And I'm not reading anything. I'll just read it Sunday. And I'm like, damn, can you take a day off? But it boils down to that. Are you showing up? Like, you said, okay, if you said, this is my plan and I want to get up every day and I want to eat fucking oatmeal. Have you done it? Have you mastered just getting up to cook yourself that meal or prepare that meal or that smoothie in the morning? Well, I want to do this. Well, have you mastered even just waking up earlier to get there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I want to get up earlier so I can knock this out. And it's like every day you're like, damn it, I didn't get up. Damn it, I didn't get up. Master just getting up earlier. Maybe just even getting up earlier and sitting in your bed, right? And maybe you're not even getting up yet. Maybe just master the fact that you can open your eyes earlier. Because I think we start to feel like we're failing. We always feel like we're failing. We're failing. We're not doing it right. We're not doing it enough. We're not doing it great. We're not exceeding, right? But that art of just showing up for yourself, that is what we got to master. And it's okay to do it in little pieces. You don't have to do it in big, because let me tell you, if you go too big and you haven't even started the small stuff, what's going to happen is you are going to start to feel like shit when you don't complete those goals. You're going to start to feel like shit every time you don't master something else, or every time you don't show up in the way that you expected yourself to do. I expected, because see, we put an expectation on it, right? You thought you were going to do this, you expected yourself to do it, and now you're angry, sad, whatever the emotions. And not that the emotions, good morning, Evelyn, not that the emotions aren't validated, because they are. How you're feeling, you should always honor how you're feeling, but don't beat yourself up too much about it, because we have to just master those things. When I look at some things, I'm like, damn, I haven't mastered this. Okay, so let me rethink. How do I replan this? How do I go about this? You know, I'm trying to jump leaps and bounds, but I haven't mastered my day to day shit, right? My business shit. I need to master some things, right? I need to really get control over some things in my life so that I can put the rest of the shit in focus and get this routine going. Now, some people are masters of routine. I'm not. I'm not a master of that, okay? That is one of like my biggest life struggles, and it's actually a part of a lesson that I'm supposed to learn in this life. And a lot of times we go to a lot of lessons and we think life lessons are supposed to be all tragic and shit, right? All tragic and fucking horrible. And no, life lessons aren't always tragic and horrible. Life lessons are sometimes just that, lessons of life. Just what you think is small, for me, is huge. Just getting a fucking routine. Me showing up to the morning show is part of that routine. It creates a sense of I need to get my ass up out of this bed. It's so comfy. I want to just lay here, especially right now with it being cold. You guys know I live in Florida. It was like 50 degrees this morning. Luckily I'm in my house so I don't feel it. But this is the time of hibernation for me. I just want to hibernate into dream space. It feels good there. That's where I want to stay, right? I don't want to get out of my bed. It's too cold. But just making this a point to get up and say, okay, let's show up here. Let's show up to what we're doing. Most of you guys already have that, where you get up, you take your ass to work, you get the kids up, you have it. But do you have your system for you? Not because of the kids, not because of work, but because you wanted to get up, because you have that desire to get up. You have that in you to do it for self. And that's what we have to focus on, is concentrating on self, concentrating on us bringing some shit to the table, us looking at this in a way, right? So I just want you guys to really think about this. How are you showing up for yourself in your life? And if you're not, how can you start to create this for yourself? You know, because I think sometimes we do put a lot on ourselves and then we beat ourselves up for it. And then we go into a very, small depressive state, right? I didn't get this done. Damn it. And then we go back to whatever it is, worthless, lazy, whatever we call ourselves. And, those names that come up from the shadow side comes out and it starts hitting us. And then we kind of go back into, whatever spaces we go back to. And we want to avoid that, right? By taking smaller steps. Sometimes we're not going to climb that fucking Mount Everest, right? Probably not going to get there in one day, right? But baby steps. Maybe we need to camp out. Maybe we need to take a couple of feet and then camp out. I don't know. It's Monday, new week. I don't know why the week starts on Monday. I think I'm just going to start my weeks on a different day. I think Mondays are just like a drag. I think everyone struggles on Monday, especially if you got like a Monday through Friday job. And it sounds good to have the weekends off, right? You're just like, oh yeah, I got my weekends off. And then when you do it for so long, you're just like, I kind of miss the schedule of having that one day in the week off. You know, there's a lot of shit you can't do on the weekends. There's a lot of places closed. So a lot of times you're like struggling in the week, your lunchtime and shit to do shit. Yeah, yeah. I feel like the start of the week happens on Sunday. Um, I don't know how everybody else is, but I actually start preparing for the week on Sunday. So I actually take my day to like really get some things in order, looking at the week, looking at what's coming up, look at my schedule. You know what I mean? Like I plan for the week on Sunday. So I don't know how everybody else does it, or if it's like if it's a thing, if it's do you do that, get the kids, I don't know if you have a plan or something like that, but normally my Sunday is like, but I know so many people have Monday as like the start of the week, and it's like so it dawned on me yesterday, it dawned on me yesterday that just to show up, just to show up for yourself, and wherever you do it, however you start to do it, remember that it's for you. We're at a point where we're becoming a better friend to self, right? We're becoming a better um just, I would say, better friend over all around, that better friend to self. So if you're doing that, you're going to start to just show up for you. Look at your needs. Are your needs being met? Not by anybody else though. Not talking about any needs by anybody else. Are you meeting your own needs on a daily basis? And if not, ask yourself why, the why behind it. Why am I not meeting my needs? Why do I feel like I'm missing something? What am I missing? A lot of times it'll be outside shit that we're missing, right? Outside energy, outside connection that we're missing. But I think a lot of it goes within. What are we missing within? And I'm not saying it's wrong to want someone or want companionship or anything like that, but when it comes to showing up for self, it's not about everybody else. It's not about anybody else making your breakfast or making time for you to work out or getting the gym buddy. It's you showing up for you, right? Right, right, right. It's rough. It's rough. And I don't look at any of my starts and stops as failures because I've removed that failure from my vocabulary. We don't speak those things in this house, right? I don't feel as a failure. But I do recognize that I'll start something, I'll go really good, and then I'll stop. Um, and then I'll get busy, I'll get sidetracked, and something else will become more important. And that's what I'm actively changing, right? I'm actively changing because I'm aware of it. I'm no longer not aware of it. I'm no longer just rolling around like, okay, whatever. I don't know why. I don't know. I actively know the awareness is there. And so now it's like, okay, now what can we do? And so I keep like, okay, what do I want right now? What is the most important thing I want? And the very things that I'm not doing, do I really want them? Right? Because that has to be the other thing. You have to really want to change, right? You have to really want whatever it is that you're working at. So if showing up for you is like, okay, I want to lose weight, right? But you never do anything to lose weight. Do you really want to lose weight? It's kind of one of those things. Well, I want a better job. But if you don't look for a better job, do you really want a better job? Or are you just saying the shit? So I think sometimes we have to take that moment and step back and say, okay, do I really want what I'm sitting here saying? Do I really want what I say? and make sure that it's not just ego saying this, that, and the third, that you really want it. Because the change is going to come when you truly want it, when you're ready to discipline yourself, when you're ready to step into that determination, right? That self push. It's not everyone else cheering us on, it's not everyone else giving us kudos. That's all that outside shit. It's not lasting. It's us cheering ourselves on. It's us pushing ourselves forward. It's us. So got to ask ourselves, do we really want what it is that we're talking about? And if we do, then we're going to make it happen, right? And I look back at some things like me sitting in my seat of what I do for a living. I made it happen. So I need to do that for the other parts of my life. Same thing. It's sacrifice, right? We're going to sacrifice somewhere. But it's how bad do you want it? And if you really want something bad enough, you're going to make the time and effort for it, right? You're going to make the time and change. You know, same thing with relationships. Same thing with people. Some people be like, I don't have time for a relationship. Well, it's not that you don't have time, it's that you don't want to make time for it. It's that simple. It's not a complicated issue. It's not a complicated uh, section. It is what it is. Because I believe anybody who truly wants something is going to make it happen. Even myself. Even myself. If I truly want something, because I have, there's been moments in my life when I look at it and I'm like, damn, you really wanted that. You went after it, right? So what's stopping you on these other things in your life? What is stopping you from showing up? Fear? Fear of failure? Because fear of failure is huge. We stop because we're afraid to fail in so many things. And sometimes we don't even realize that that's the reason why we're not moving forward. Fear of what? Or maybe it's the doubt that we can even do it. We doubt ourselves, which are all valid to an extent, right? To an extent. And then we all have to make sure that we get to a place where, okay, we get to a place where we're like, okay, when do I get past the doubt in myself, right? When do I get past, because you have to start to believe in you, right? There's a point where you actually have to start truly believing that you can. I deserve this. I deserve better than what I'm giving myself. And that's one of the biggest things. I deserve better than what I've been giving myself. I deserve better than the bullshit that I've been sitting in, right? Bad habits. Bad habits are everything. It is easy to form, so hard to get away because it's just easier to fall back to what is comfortable and what you've been doing, right? So instilling those good habits, right? Instilling those monumental habits takes that dedication, takes that drive, right? Because we've created a lot of bad habits. And depending on how old you are, depends on how bad those habits could have been, right? Embedded for decades. And so it's like, damn, okay. One of the keys is just become aware and don't break yourself down every time you don't hit that place or that goal. You know, don't break yourself down. Nice, Evelyn, nice. Biggest thing is you got to believe that you can do it, right? So many people stop doing things because they don't believe that they can do it. That's one of the biggest things. It's very simple. They don't believe in themselves. And if you don't believe in yourself, well, hell, nobody is going to believe in you, right? That's where we have to show up. Just show up for you. Believe in you. Believe that you can. But we have to get past our doubts and our fears within ourselves. And the reason we have them is because we have failed before, right? We have not finished something before. We've started shit and stopped shit. We know ourselves better than anyone, right? We know that we say one thing, we do another, right? We know that we do it. This is what prevents us because we actually know ourselves. Morning rain. Yes, boo. Yes. Um, so knowing that, it's like, okay, I know this. How do I change this? How do you rebuild confidence? Yeah. How do you rebuild confidence within self? Good question. It's very hard. It's very hard to rebuild confidence within self when it's been broken down so many times. Okay. I cannot give you like 10 best things to do to fucking build your confidence. No. Um, that is working through all of the reasons you're not confident. All of the reasons why you don't like looking at yourself, or you don't like hearing your voice, or you don't think you're smart enough, or all of those reasons why, right? You have to work through all of that shit and get to a certain point where you start to even semi like yourself, okay? Semi like your voice, semi like how you look, all right? At least get to the point where you're okay with looking in yourself at the mirror, right? Okay with the reflection looking at you. Maybe you don't love it, but get to a point where you at least can, vibe with yourself in some way. I love affirmations on my mirror. I always say it. Um, it's one thing to play affirmations, and some people have them around their workspace, but first thing in the morning, those affirmations on my mirror are everything. And I just sit there and I look up at them and I recite them. And I tell you guys, my first one is remember who the fuck you are. That saying has been powerful for me. And you guys got to create your own. You could use that one. You guys know I always say that in some of my readings, right? That has actually been a very powerful affirmation for me to look up, and that be the first thing that I tell myself. And little by little, I have been remembering this beautiful divine being that I am, that like a couple years ago, I didn't even know. I didn't even see her, right? And so it's crazy that even though we want to be our full potential, we want to be at that place where I'm a full potential and I'm desired and this, that, and the third, but you got to get there, right? And you got to appreciate where you've come, because I am not the person I was in 2019. In 2019, I was still a broken hearted woman who was very bitter inside still. And I was very insecure and I didn't trust anybody. And I still was seeking attention in the moment and gratification in the moment. Um, and I didn't know that. That wasn't something taught to me. That wasn't something that I was even aware of. I didn't even have the awareness. And I was very immature in my emotions. And so now I can look back and I'm like, fuck. Like, how did anybody deal with me like that? Like, how did anybody put up with my ass then? Because I really look back and I'm like, damn, I was not the nicest person, you know? And I justified a lot of bad habits. I justified a lot of shit that would come out my mouth. I would justify it, right? And I would cut with my words. And remember, the awareness is everything. Your awareness of self is everything. And if you're not aware, you just do shit. You just do shit. You've always done it that way. It's just you. People say that it's just me, deal with it. No, that's the hurt and the pain talking. It's not just you, deal with it. There's a difference from sitting in my power and I'm being me and either love me or leave me, right? To being in these very shitty energies, like, okay, deal with me like this. And I don't think anybody has to deal with you like that. I'm surprised half of my family dealt with my house like that. I really don't. I'm just like, so when you reflect, I do celebrate that though. You guys take time to celebrate your small steps, because those small steps are going to get you to your big wins. And then you're going to be able to look back and go, shit, I've fucking grown. I have grown in ways that I can't imagine. So there's times where I have to sit back and say, okay, we might not be at our target goals yet, right? But I can't break myself down for that, because I'm working. I'm actively working to do it. And when I look back, I'm like, shit, I'm not the same person I was a year ago. A year ago, I look at who I was, and I still had this piece of sadness lingering way more than I feel it now. And it's still kind of there. There's something that's still there lingering that I have to tackle. And, once we get there, you can become someone who knows, and then you have the tools. You know what you need to do. You need to work through it. You need to face whatever it is. And you need to put some type of either compassion, love on it to understand it and not just, oh, why am I feeling this again? Why is this here? Why am I, why I'm getting pissed off and mad because you think you should be further along, right? That's all a part of this. If you know looking at yourself today, you're not the same person you were 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, then you have shown up for yourself in some way, shape, or form. You're doing the work. I think we can't beat ourselves up too bad, right? We will all want to do better. We all want to become better people. We all want to live up to this, dream that we've created for ourselves, right? And when we don't get there, the depression, sadness comes in, right? So, Spirit is telling you to understand, take a step back, look at yourself a couple months ago. Are you the same person you were then? Probably not, right? That's some of the things that have gone through my head as I'm working through this, right? I'm not even the weight I was a year ago. You know what I mean? Like I've lost a lot of weight. So I'm not even the weight I was a year ago. Um, I will put you on timeout, but good morning. Um, you guys know I'm streaming on 4 platforms. So we got Facebook, 3 pages, and we got YouTube. So, anywho, coming back to what we're talking about, don't beat yourselves up, you guys. Um, don't get into this thing of, damn, I'm fucking up. I'm not living up to who I want to be. Don't create a facade of who you want to be either. It's good to have a goal. It's good to look and say, okay, I have a goal of where I want to be, or I have a goal that I'm working on, but don't beat yourself up if you're not there every day, right? Yeah. And weight for me has been connected to past hurt, past pains. And weight has been connected to because I wasn't a fat kid. I wasn't someone who was over even my teens, I wasn't a fat teen. But when I got to after I had my second daughter, and you guys know the story of me losing my first child, weight became an issue as it was like my physical armor. I made and created this physical armor. And anytime that I want to really open up my heart space, you know, that's the issue. That's an issue. And so this armor has kept me in a place of comfort. This armor has kept me in a place of like, I don't have to go through the scary part of giving my heart to someone and being broken. And that's a reality that I realize. I talk about love all the time. It sounds great, right? I'm a hopeless romantic in that way. But in reality, when it really comes to opening up my heart space, there's a fear. There's a fear, and it's something I still got to work at. Still got to work at because I've been heartbroken in this lifetime. So it's rough. I don't get offended with the words. So fat, chubby, whatever the fuck you want to say, big, beautiful, I don't fucking care. You know, I've gotten away from being offended by any of those terms. You can't offend me calling me names. I've been called like every name in the book. So you definitely cannot offend me. I'm not offended with that. I know that I'm a big woman. Like I don't look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm really skinny. No, I know where I know what I weigh. I know what size I wear. I'm not trying to act like I'm skinnier than what I am. I know if I really wanted to be skinny, best believe I could become it. But my weight is attached to my heart space. And there's still something I have to work through for that. I'm not ready for that. I want it. I want to be. I want to be, you guys. And that's the honest truth. I want to be, but man, it's hard. You don't offend me. Like I said, I don't get hurt with words. Not like that. There was a time where I did. I got very hurt off words, but that's one of the things I've worked on because it's all just words. And it's only going to offend you if you believe it, right? It's going to offend me if I believe it in this derogatory way. And I don't. I know my weight. I know where I'm at. Do I want to stay in this weight? No. That's the problem. That's the catch 22. And this weight is connected with my heart space and being afraid to open up that heart space. And so once you start to really get deep inside of what you're doing, and you see how connected everything is with your physical body and what you're going through. Good morning, Haley. You're going to make some moves. Now, am I closer to getting there? Of course. I'm closer, but I'm not there yet, right? And that's why when I look at last year, my path, especially with losing weight, I lost like 60 pounds, you guys, last year, which is huge. That's phenomenal to lose like 60 pounds, right? Um, but the bad part is then I just stopped because then the thoughts, having to be open, because then you get people that want to talk to you, you get people that are looking at you. It's scary if you have that issue with, I don't want to share my heart, or I'm not ready to share my heart. It's pretty crazy. And my heart space, there's trauma, the experience when I lost my daughter, I also lost a huge relationship at the same time. So love and death are together. I also have a past life where I was killed and taken away from a great love of mine. And so I, again, have this fear of loss. So it's a huge one. It's something I actively am working through, of course, but it's not something that it's just easy to be like, okay, I just wake up and boom, I don't feel this anymore. No, it's something that you have to actively work through your fears, and you have to understand those fears. You have to understand why you have those fears. And then you have to say, okay, today, every day, I'm going to actively try to make this something that I'm not afraid of. But then I realize I still am. And then I'm like, fuck, why is this still an issue? And so I go through the emotions. I go through the emotions of this. I, like you guys, go through this shit. I go through the emotions and I'm trying to see, like, why? Why is this still affecting me? Why is this still a problem? And I do get irritated because I'm impatient with a lot of this too. I'm like, I should be further along. And then I have to sit back and I have to give compassion to myself. Like, no, maybe you're just where you need to be. Maybe this is just where you need to be. Maybe you can't go any further. Maybe you can't go faster than what you are. And then I remember that the hurt and pain is still there. I'm not done working through the grief with my daughter's death. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with that. So I can see how it ties together. I can see why it's still there. So again, master just showing up for yourself. Stop beating yourself down because you feel like you're failing yourself. You feel like you're not doing enough for yourself. I'm not being there for myself. I'm not creating this for myself. No, you are. Even if it looks small, even if it doesn't look like, you're not there yet, you are doing it. Again, look back. Look back a couple months ago. Are you the same person? Like, are you exactly the same person you were? Probably not, right? I will not answer faster, but hey. Um, so show up. Just show up for you. Show up for you. And don't beat yourself up. I think that's the biggest thing I want you guys to take from this. It's just don't beat yourself up. Don't get into the spaces because there's deeper shit that you're working through, you guys. Some of you guys are working through some very harshness, and it's hard. It's hard. to get through that, right? So give yourself more time. And the bad problem is the reason we want to rush is because we start feeling like we're running out of time. How many of you guys start feeling like I don't have enough time in this lifetime? I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to become who I want because life is going to end, right? Right. And that's one of the biggest things. Self-love, self-care. That's about showing up. That's what showing up is. Loving yourself, caring for yourself. I too was a person who put everyone in front of them. I definitely did not put myself first. And I did that because I was trying to. See, when we get into a mojo of taking care of everybody else, it's because we don't want to deal with the shit within. So we tell ourselves we're too busy to deal with it because we don't. We're up, whether you call it unconscious, subconsciously, not paying attention to ourselves. So we say, "Oh, I got to take care of this person. I got to take care of that person. Oh, that person needs me. Oh, no, I can't deal with you right now. You're talking to self. I can't deal with you, self, right now. This person, I got to go save this person. Nope, self, you got to sit back there. I got to deal with this problem." And we do that because we don't want to deal with ourselves. We don't want to deal with the hurt and pain that's sitting inside. We don't want to look in our own eyes and deal with the shit. Rough. I feel it. It's rough, right? Exactly, Shondell. And when you can look back and see it, you can acknowledge it, right? And you can say, you know what? I may not be where I am today, but man, I'm not who I was yesterday. I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I'm not fully healed. There's some trauma I'm still working through, but I know that my trauma and pain doesn't lead my emotions anymore. My trauma and pain does not lead how I live my life anymore. The only struggle I have is getting to a point where I can fully open my heart space for anyone to come in. That's rough. Other than that, I'm doing pretty fucking awesome. So we can't beat ourselves up no more, you guys. And I did yesterday. I was beating myself up yesterday. Me and my daughter had a talk. My daughter is 25, almost 25. And sometimes she's just so fucking wise. And we had this talk, and that's what she was like, let's just show up. Just gotta show up. And I was just like, I'm beating myself down for some stuff. And I was like, you know what? I can't be this hard on myself all the time. Some of this shit is rough. Some of this shit is rough. And I think the honesty or just admitting to yourself where you're at, but not in a way where you need to put yourself down. Because you don't need to put yourself down worse than what you already feel. You already feel like shit, right? And you don't need to add on to that. You don't need to add on it. You don't need to start calling yourself names. You don't need to go back to the old ways, that you'll never be this or you'll never do that. Because that's all of that shit in your shadow that will start to come up, right? And you don't need to tell yourself that. But celebrate. More celebrate of where you are today. Especially if you know that you have put some steps into place. And you may not be where you want to be. That's okay. You can still work to get there, right? Still work to get there. It's not over, and one of the biggest things I've had to fight is time because I'm in my 40s. So for me, with the way we're pre-programmed is like 40s is like, oh my God, you're too old. And people make it seem like if you're a single woman at 40, no one's gonna want your ass after that. Sad part is that's not true, right? Society is fucking horrible, you guys. Society makes us feel like shit. Society makes us feel like shit for stuff. So I think we have to keep deprogramming what society has put in our mind. Society makes us feel like this. So I would start to feel like I don't have no more time. I don't have no more time. I don't have no more time. And my time's running out. And that's how I would feel. And that shit would make me feel like shit. Like, damn, my time's running out. I'm never going to get to this space. My time's going to be up. And so I feel like that has been one of the biggest things that I've had to fight is to stop thinking of time. Stop thinking of life as time and stop thinking there's only so much time in a life. It's like breaking those barriers because that's one of the biggest things that kind of hinders us also. Yeah, yeah. I've been my worst critic too, boo. I've been my worst critic too. And it's rough. It's rough because you will break yourself down. And it's like, damn, why am I so rough to self right now? Why am I so rough to self right now? Good morning, Crystal. Um, RB, I wouldn't date anybody in their 20s, boo. I just gotta be real. I wouldn't date anybody in their 20s. Um, You just got to get past that. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. People, look, I know that some people are way older in their minds and stuff at 20s, but in your 20s, you really don't know shit. I'm just gonna be real. Your 20s, you don't know shit. You're still trying to figure out life. You're trying to figure out who the fuck you are. Most of the time, most people don't know who they are, or they're very pre-programmed into thinking that they do. I'm just saying, I'm saying I wouldn't be with anyone in their 20s. I wouldn't date nobody in their 20s. Um, mm-mm, nope. Um, I think you just gotta when we get back to what we're talking about, just remember that when you look back, take that moment, release it, right? And then create another plan. Either go back to the plan, but let me tell you, if you try something, it doesn't work, that's probably not the way to do it, right? It doesn't need to. You don't need to go back to that place. Maybe I need to reform this plan. Maybe I need to get to a different plan. Maybe I need to reconstruct this plan. So just look at it in those ways of like, okay, all right, this maybe is not the way for me. Maybe I need to do it. So we're just gonna kill that, kill the conversation. Lord, it's too early. I want you guys to, if you find yourself feeling bad for what you didn't accomplish, right? If you start to feel bad for what you didn't accomplish, if you start to feel like I didn't get enough done today for myself, just really look at that, right? Really look at it and say, all right, what can I do for myself tomorrow? How can I make myself a priority? So try one thing a day. What's one thing a day that you can do to show up for yourself? Because see, I feel like that's that trying to make everything. We're trying to go big, but I feel like that's where we fail. And I don't like the word failure because I don't really think we fail, but that's where we don't show up. It's because we're trying to do a million things and we can't. So what's like one thing that you can start to commit to? One. I'm not saying 10. You don't got to do 10 things, right? What's one thing that you can commit to yourself every day from this day forward to start to make yourself a priority? A lot of times we start falling back into that wanting someone to make us feel like we're special or wanting someone to make us feel like this and outside we want outsiders to make us feel a certain way. That's not it. So what's one thing, you guys, that you can do for yourself every day? Baby steps to showing up for self. Baby steps. Continue it. And then once you get to a point of, oh shit, it's been a week of me doing this one thing every day. Shit, it's been 2 weeks of me doing this every day. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Oh, I got this down. This is just a part of my life. I don't even have to think about it. I just do it. Add something else. So most of the time we're trying to put all of this shit on us. I got to do this. I got to do this. 20 more things I got to add to my plate. What if you just started with one small thing a day? One thing. I'm going to silence you, RB. I'm going to put you on timeout, like real shit. What if you just do one thing? One thing. Stop trying to make it too great, too grand, too overwhelming. You guys ever made a plan? It's just like, oh my God, how am I going to fucking get there? And then you start trying to do it, and then it's just too much. And all of a sudden, everything else is just crashing and burning. It's because you're putting too much on it, doing this great grand gesture of changing, right? It's probably not going to happen because you're putting too much. One thing, do one thing a day. Can you keep up with that one thing before you add on 20 million things that you need to change in your life? How many times have we made a list, that fucking New Year's resolution list, right? So there's like a million things on that list. I used to make these big ass lists, things to do, 2020, whatever, in 2000 and something. I used to make these lists in 2000 and something, not even 20 something. 2000 and be 30 things on there that I need to fucking change for the year, right? You ever go back to that list because the list goes and it becomes a mystery of where the list is at? Apparently, Aries wants some love. And then you go back, find the list. You ain't did shit on the list. It's summertime. You're like, oh my God, where the fuck did the time go? I didn't do shit on this list. Then all of a sudden it's like October and you still haven't done shit on this list. Why do we overwhelm and complicate this shit? One thing. Master that one thing for self. You will feel awesome when you just master that part, right? You did 3 for 2022. I didn't make any New Year's resolution. I stopped making New Year's resolutions a couple years ago, because I told myself I was going to stop making the new year where I needed to change. So I told myself no more waiting for new year, new me. I would just, whenever I wanted to start something, I would start it. And that would be my key, right? So I stopped saying fuck that new year, new me shit. No, because every year it would be new year, same me, same shit, different day. It would never change. I just stopped and I said, no, fuck that. I'm not going to wait till January to fix shit. No, during the year, if I wanted to change, I'll do something. And so I just started implementing that. At the end of 2020, is where I started a lot of my weight loss journey, was at the end of 2020. Because I knew I needed to change, not because we were coming up to a new year, but because I knew I needed to change, right? Um, and so this year, last year, I just kept trying to show up for myself and do small things, cook for myself, shit that I never did, that I wasn't used to. I was used to eating out, I was used to ordering. So I just was doing shit that I was like, okay, let me just drink water this year. Like real shit. Last year, it was just like, let me just fucking drink water. And that was a huge step for me because I wasn't drinking water in 2020. In 2020, I was drinking coffee, I was drinking soda. Horrible. I was barely drinking any water in 2020. So 2021 for me was like, let me just drink water. And what I did was, the added step I did, I bought a delivery service water so that I wouldn't even have to, oh, I got to go to the store and get water. It's delivered to my fucking door. And I had enough to last. And it was like, oh shit, 5 gallon, 5 gallon containers delivered to me every month. I don't got to go find the water. Water's here. So in 2021, I mastered that part of just drinking more water in my life. Huge change. So again, let's celebrate this. Let's celebrate these things. If you look at last year, what did you do? What did you implement? What did you hold on to and you kept that you're still doing today? Look back at that and celebrate those things. These things are huge wins. We don't think it because now it's an everyday thing. Now we're in the groove. It's a part of our life. We're not going to stop, right? We've made it a part of our routine. But if you look at the past year, what did you used to do that now you don't do? What did you do the year before that you stopped doing? And if you look a couple months ago, it's like, what was I doing a couple months ago that I didn't carry over to this year? And I'm not mad at anyone who makes New Year's resolutions. I just stopped because for me, I just felt like I was always setting myself up to fail with these lists of shit that I was not going to get to. Doing good, 2 of 3. There you go, Evelyn. I don't drink juice. I'm not a juice person no more. I used to drink juices. I don't drink juice. I don't even buy juice for home. Not for me. I don't buy juice for myself. Right. I do drink my cup of coffee every morning, you guys. I ain't giving that back. I ain't giving it up. Now, I don't drink Starbucks like I used to. Man, y'all know I used to be Starbucks every day. And I actually have given that up pretty much. I'll go once in a while to Starbucks, maybe like I want to say like once, twice, maybe three times a month. I think I've gotten to about a couple handful of times that I'll go in a month where I used to be every day at Starbucks, right? 30 days a month versus maybe 5 days a month. Maybe I can't even say it's that many, but it's a huge change, right? And coffee was my go-to. There was a satisfaction to that Starbucks coffee. There was a reward to that Starbucks coffee. So I make my coffee at home now every morning. You guys see me sipping. Sometimes I have teas, but in the morning I do like my coffee, and then I do like to make tea, which it's not. I don't do sugary tea. I do herbal teas, right? So that during the day I'll probably do those, and then water is my other go-to. So just that of taking that and changing is huge. So remember, when you're looking at some of this, we're beating ourselves down, but we've actually done some huge shit, right? Where it's like, oh shit, I actually have changed and I've stuck to something. I'm actually not eating out all the time. That in 2021 was a huge change for me, to not eat out all the time like I used to not always go and eat at the very shittiest places, also, right? So now if I do choose to eat out, there's better places, there are healthier places that I choose. So if I choose to order out, I'm not getting just a bunch of shit. You know, that's where we have to start to change and hold on to those changes, right? And then we have to celebrate those changes. Because again, we're trying to do so much that we forget that some of this stuff that we got right here, we got this, we got this. So just take a moment. Just remember, show up for self, but celebrate those small steps that you think they're small. Now they're a part of your life. So now you're just like, I don't even see it. I don't celebrate it because this is my routine now. Now let's get a new routine. Let's add one. But if you can't master the small things, how do you ever get to some of these big things that you want to implement in your life? You're not going to get there. So you got to start with small steps. And if you overwhelm yourself, right? If you keep overwhelming yourself, you're going to keep falling back into the comfort zone because you don't want to get back. You're going to keep falling back to this very comfort state. Okay. So that's my thoughts for today on just showing up for self. I don't know who gave me a frowny face. Why you give me a frowny face, Haley? I don't know who Haley is, but she gave me a frowny face today. I guess she didn't like our topic. I'm going to pull the Kipper cards for the horoscope today and tell you what the energy is today. They're fortune teller cards. So the biggest thing I want you guys to remember is remember that just show up for yourself. Damn it. That is the title of today's show. And you could do it small. You could do it big. I was like, why are you giving me frowny face? Oh, you're pocket dialing me, huh? All right, all right. I'll let you off the hook. Just show up and recognize that you have been showing up for yourself also, right? Recognize that you have been showing up for yourself and celebrate it. Celebrate it, okay? Celebrate those wins. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate every small step that you fucking create for self. Self. We're not talking about nobody else today. We're talking about what you need for you, how you operate. You know, I used to be a person that was very addicted to certain things because I needed to escape. I'm not that person. And it's crazy because when I tell people that, they're like, you don't do this? You don't smoke weed? You don't drink? And I'm like, no. And they're like, so you don't do anything? And I'm like, not really, no. Not saying that if I don't go out, I wouldn't have a drink. The difference is that if I'm in the mood, I don't need it. Like if I go out to a restaurant with someone and we're having dinner, if I go see my girls or something, I don't need to have a drink. I don't need to drink. There was a time where I needed a drink in my hand, right? Because everyone else did. That was the socially acceptable. Even if I didn't want to drink, I had a drink in my hand because everybody else had a drink, and I got a drink because everybody else has a drink, right? You know, there was a time where I was a weed head. Like, man, there was a time where I was like, whoo, I don't need it. You know, I feel like when you start to work through a lot of the shit, you won't need this stuff. And if you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it. There's no social, pressure. No, I'm good. I actually can enjoy myself not being intoxicated. And there was a time where I needed that boost because I needed that boost in confidence. I needed to get rid of some things that were holding me back. And that's what it did for me. That's what alcohol did for me, right? But I don't need to go to those spaces. I've learned and grown. I love my energy. I love who I am. I can chit chat, you know, I can have one drink all night and be good. So some of it is understanding how far you've come in your energy. And you don't need to go back to those spaces. And you don't need to beat yourself down where you're not further. Look at what you've overcome. Look at how far you've been. And then sit and be like, oh shit, I have been showing up for self because I'm not doing the same shit I've been doing, right? I'm not going back to the same shit. So don't beat yourself up too much, right? There's just certain things that I've learned and I've grown, and I'm like, I'm doing way better than I was, way better than I was a year ago, 2 years ago. Hell yeah. And each day that you understand, when I look back, I was like, damn, especially in my 20s, whew, and my early 30s. There was a time where I was like, man, there's a lot of shit I don't even remember because you black out, you forget. Who wants to live like that? How exciting is that if I don't fucking remember the night? That's not cool. You're still escaping because you don't even fucking remember half the shit. You don't remember what you said. You don't remember what you did. You know, I never want to go back to that space. That was a very hurt, traumatized person, right? I just don't need to be there. So now I like to experience. I like to feel what's going on. I like to feel the energy. I like to be aware of what's going on. I went to EDC, and some of you guys know because you've seen my social media. First time I went to EDC this past year. Um, and a lot of people get high, and I ain't knocking nobody for what they do. Y'all do what you do. But a lot of people were like, so you don't take nothing? I'm like, no, I'm good. But just to experience, I'm like, I am experiencing it. And there were some people that just didn't understand that. It was like, how are you experiencing? I'm like, man, I'm feeling the vibration. Me, I'm all spiritual now. So as a spiritual person, that vibration is going on and you could just feel it. It's like cosmic shit that I'm feeling with no fucking drugs, right? And some people don't understand that. It's like, no, I'm actually getting this huge fucking experience right now. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm good. And so a lot of people don't understand that. It's like, no, I don't need to be faded. I'm good. Because I like to actually take in and feel on this grander scale. So you got to look at these things and say, damn, if I'd have came to this shit like a decade ago, I'd have been fucked up. I would have missed a lot of this stuff. I would have missed a lot of it. So again, let's not beat ourselves up because we're not exactly where we need to be, but let's keep showing up for ourselves. One step at a time, you show up. One step at a time, you change. One step at a time, you say, this is something else I'm going to implement and I'm going to stick with this because I can. I'm strong enough. I'm ready. Biggest part is being ready. Because if you're not ready to make the change, it won't stick. If you're not ready to let some things go, It won't stick. Okay. So instead of just talking about the change, start to do the change, right? All right.